Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. The Quran mentions again and again that the two necessary expectations, criteria for an individual to be declared eligible to enter the paradise are Iman, faith, and Amal Saleh, good deeds. A person who satisfies these two conditions to an acceptable level is going to be declared as qualified to enter the all important place of success, the paradise, Al Jannah, to reside therein forever in a life that will have unimaginable beauty, contentment, satisfaction, excitement, etc. That is why the Almighty has created this world. It's a world of trial where every human being is being tested, and the next world is going to be the world of the result of that trial, where all humans are going to be judged on the merit of their performance. And it's going to be a judgment that the Almighty mentions will be absolutely fair and just. However, the question arises, how can these two criteria be essential requirements for success for all human beings when we know that different humans face different conditions, they have different levels of information, and therefore, to expect from each one of them the same level of performance apparently seems to be not fair. The answer to this question is, and by the way, all questions regarding religion and religious understanding which cause difficulty in understanding the Almighty's scheme are genuine questions, are the questions which need to be welcomed, and therefore they need to be raised and they need to be responded to. The Almighty has responded to this question in a number of passages, but probably the most significant and clear response is what we find in verse 42 of Surah 7, Surah Al-Araf. The Almighty mentions the same two criteria. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, those who believe and do good deeds. And towards the end of the verse mentions the same promise. These are the people who are going to be the justifiable residents for the paradise. They're going to live therein forever. However, between these two statements, there is a statement that has been inserted which clarifies that God says we shall hold people accountable on the basis of their potential. So each individual is going to be judged on the basis of faith and good deeds. But what level of faith, what kind of faith, and what level of good deeds will depend on the individual's potential. And an individual's potential is primarily comprised of two components: his personality, level of intelligence, etc., as well as his environment, the place where he lives, the circumstances that he or she faces. So the end result of this understanding is that although the two criteria, necessary conditions for success in the life hereafter, are faith and good deeds, yet each individual will have a different criteria. will be judged according to a different level of expectation, which is going to be based on faith and good deeds, but each individual in his her own capacity. Uh, can we not come up with two important conditions, criteria based on this understanding? The answer is yes, we can. So, if we analyze these two conditions, faith and good deeds, in the light of the necessary important conditions set forth by the Almighty, that all humans are going to be judged in accordance with their circumstances, their personalities, etc., what we find is that faith is going to be given, or an individual is going to be uh, found deserving to have faith, who will be intellectually honest. Because faith is based on arguments. The arguments that the Almighty provides either in His text, in His books, or in the environment of which we are a part. If a person uses his her intellect properly, honestly, and the individual is presented with the understanding of faith in a proper, genuine, convincing way, there is no way that an intellectually honest person would reject that invitation. Likewise, good deeds can take different details, but essentially, these are the morals, the ethical expectations which all human beings know what they are, basically. Uh, the details are then uh, introduced, clarified by societies in their own respective ways. And if an individual comes to learn about those details through the message of God Almighty that came to him or comes to him from messengers, from prophets in a way that is convincing, then a good human being would follow that message, which is going to be essentially nothing but an extension of his moral understanding. So, moral uprightness is the other condition. If these two conditions are properly satisfied for an individual, if an individual is um, intellectually honest and is morally upright, then he or she is going to be declared eligible to enter the paradise. The question is, why then is it a popular understanding amongst Muslims that a person must recite the kalma, the statement which says that he believes in one God and he believes in Prophet Muhammad, God's mercy be on him, as God's messenger, unless a person attests that statement, he or she will not be eligible to enter the paradise. Well, the reason is that this understanding has become popular because this understanding was absolutely correct at the time when the Prophet himself was present physically and delivering God's message. Because when a prophet delivers God's message himself directly to people, then the message becomes so clear, it's done so convincingly, that it is not possible for an intellectually honest person who is morally upright as well to reject that message. In other words, a person who is intellectually honest and morally upright and comes to learn about the kalma that is from God, he is going to recite that statement and would become a formal Muslim believer. However, if the message is not delivered to him properly and he continues to remain intellectually honest and morally upright, then these two conditions would be considered acceptable by the Almighty in the category of faith and good deeds. May the Almighty enable us to understand His message properly and to follow it to the best of our abilities.